This is fire and water is the symbol of the joining of William Collins, the publisher, and Harper and Row into a new agency, a new publisher, and appears in many, many books and many, many forms that they have, which has held up for a lot of decades too. Merck, a symbol from Merck Pharmaceuticals, which goes without lettering because the lettering was, Merck is problematic in various parts of the world. This is a symbol for Nissai, which is translated as Nippon Life, and it's a very, very big insurance company in Tokyo. And this also is now 20 years ago and still looks very clean and fresh, and you can find it if you go to Japan all over the place. Otherwise, you'll never find it. This is a new mark that we just completed literally 2 months ago. It's Princeton University Press. And it's all coming out very well on bags, and all the employees at the publishing house insisted on having hats for their softball team and all the rest of it. This is little black sheep is for the old Chatham Sheep Herding Company, which is very inside for me because it's my brother-in-law's cheese company in upstate New York. And he's actually a venture capitalist that likes to drive around in a tractor more than he does anything else. And so he turns out all kinds of cheeses now, and they're delicious, which is the way I got paid. Shinsegae, this is a department store in Seoul in Korea. Initially we did all the kinds of very decorative packaging and so on for one of the first seasons when it happened, and it's been going on very successfully. Koç, which means ram in Turkish, is an old client. This was done in 1971, and they are very loyal people, and I have grown with them as they've expanded to being the largest company in Turkey now, and I've had the honor of going there twice a year, except for when they had a terrible economic downturn about 5 years ago, maybe twice a year, and done 18 very large companies in Turkey, like this one, which is a gas station, Opet. They grow like crazy from the capital that Koç has been able to put into them, and very successful. And the Turks are very chauvinistic, so they much rather buy gasoline, even if they have to drive 5 miles out of their way from Opet than they do from Shell, just because they're that way. And this is one of the companies. Arçelik is pronounced, is 70% of the refrigerators and stoves and home appliances in Turkey. That makes a very big company. In the introduction, I put Arçelik into it with the understanding that as soon as it was established, and they advertise in the papers every day and billboards all over the place, that we could get rid of Arçelik within it and just have this symbol which comes from Arshlake, meaning rolled steel. So that's what this form is, and it sort of works a little bit like the Nike swatch in Turkey, at least, and absolutely nowhere else. But Turkey has 80 million people, and it's enough. There's another company there in Turkey, again done in the late 70s. As a third world country, they have a lot of propane users. A lot of families do their cooking that way, and that's what iGas is. It is in all the major cities, or probably all the towns as well in that country. Koçtaş means Koç companies, and this is, I don't know what you would be the equivalent of here, but it's like Home Depot. This is a gigantic 200,000 square foot stores that are absolutely sell everything that it has to do with the home, from lumber to tools, God knows what, and they're absolutely enormous. And this very recent little house is all over the major urban areas of Turkey too. It's a little symbol for Bee House, which is, instead of a gigantic thing, it's a little apparel shop in Seoul. And as I say, it's called Bee House, and it's all about mod fashion. This is a symbol I did some time ago for the Ring of Fire. It's an aquarium in Osaka that was designed by my brother Peter. Another form of corruption. You've got to keep these things in the family as much as possible. And I got to do a very big mural on this few stories high in Osaka. And then another aquarium. There's a symbol in Lisbon, and that aquarium has a tile wall which is 5 stories high and 280 feet long, and that took 54 women and 1 man to paint the tiles. I designed tiles in grades from 1/10 of Portuguese blue to solid blue. And then, like pixels, took all the fish and other animal inhabitants of the aquarium and used them on this gigantic wall, which took months to put up. And you can see this shark coming at you is made up of all these tiles that took all these ladies and that guy so many months to produce. This was 9, the address of 9 West 57th Street in New York. It slides off this curved building and is on city property. It was a murderous job to convince the owner to do this at all, because for one thing, he didn't like to spend money at all in any way, and my job was to write 9 in some fashion on this travertine building. But this idea of having 9 slide down the building and land on the sidewalk was irresistible, and I went to considerable length. I even had little people carrying umbrellas in the rain, and where he had an office before the building was completed, I made a deal with the secretary that I could set these little characters with umbrellas up to blacken it out, and have the 9 presented to the owner. It was difficult because being on where it is on the sidewalk, for one thing, it was done 18 years ago, and he's been paying monthly rental to the city of New York for the space of that 9 ever since. And there's a piece of steel that goes through 3 levels of garage underneath it, so they don't fall through on anybody's car. So that was a nice saga for a simple thing. This came about really, so just a drinking fountain where kids put their head in the mouth of the lion, but it came from going to a children's zoos and seeing what the hell really goes on there, and finding that the fathers are constantly looking for photo opportunities to take pictures of their kids. And that was one of the main things, because otherwise they were bored to death in children's. This was a great success. And fathers kept telling their kids, don't you want another glass of water? And don't you want to drink a little more water? And it worked out, and it's been there for a long time. This is a sign for that same children's zoo of children's blocks rising into the sky. This is the New York Times, something I did 4 years ago now, when the attack of 9/11 took place and took away those 2 towers from America. And this was my illustration for the New York Times op-ed piece about it. I was very pleased that it happened, because when you ask to do something by the New York Times like that, you have about 3 hours to get it done, because they go to press so fast, and that's exactly what happened. This, Mike Dempsey mentioned, was one of many, many posters that I did for mobile. And this one I like because Minstrel Man, those 2 hands are life-size. These are done as bus stop shelter signs, so that when people are standing there waiting for the bus, these 2 hands are coming out of their shoulders. And it made for a lot of photo opportunities for us to cover that situation. A logo for the missile mess was really, because all of these programs for Mobil Oil also had booklets and sometimes actual catalogs and invitations and God knows what. So there was, they all had more going on than what appears. And reducing in this poster, reducing Churchill to his bowler and the cigar during his years out of office. I was very pleased that Churchill could survive with being replaced by a cloud of smoke, at least for a moment. Mobile page to keep a lot of institutions open in the evenings in New York, the Guggenheim Museum being one of them. This is from my collection of garbage, of picking up stuff. I have whole buckets full of gloves, because when a construction worker loses one, they're usually in their back pockets, then they throw the other one away. So there are gloves to be found and they're driven over by cars and trucks. And I find that they get better and better the more times they're driven over. And I can't resist picking out, stuffing in my pocket and doing something with them. So that's what I use for a show about my work. I did quite a few things for University of California in Los Angeles. This one for art courses in their summer sessions, and this is just multimedia things of drawing and painting and cutting paper and actual stuff and so on. And it is part of my collage experiments that made that possible, that kind of thinking. This one, a multicolor paintbrush casting a palm shadow. And here are colored pencils growing out of a pot. And and always with my handwriting and all of these, and as opposed to setting type. Domus, the Italian design magazine, gave me the honor of asking if I would do the 2 issues that sort of bracketed the turn of the 20th century to the 21st. So the first is all about the artists, the great artists of the world. The painters, the Macintosh and other designers, and Picasso and Braque and so on, and those artistic accomplishments. And then I bracketed it with all the problems of the 21st century that designers had to worry about: overproduction and pollution and garbage and so on. Sort of taking the opposite tack of going forward instead of looking backwards, as a way of framing the issues. This was a great deal of cutting and pasting and stealing of various images. This is an homage to one of the great designers, a dear friend in Japan, who designed this symbol that I took off from Iko Tanaka. And Iko, with Alan Fletcher and Paul Rand and about 2 or 3 others at the most, are my ideas of what I always aspired to. And Iko Tanaka, for one, never did anything that I didn't think was pretty damn terrific, and neither did Paul Rand, and it's true too of Alan Fletcher. They just didn't do bad work ever. This goes way back. I just the atomic blast as a brain for Bertrand Russell seemed to make sense to me as a thought. I did a whole lot of illustrations for the Israeli Discount Bank, using all the stuff that they mailed to me to explain what the bank was all about. I just cut them up and all these folders and all this stuff, and I made these portraits. And that worked out very well, and they insisted on keeping them instead of sending them back to me. In commemoration of Hiroshima, Tom and I both did posters, and I did this one of the fragility of life in this broken plate, which is taped together and rather nervously.